Welcome to the Women of Indy podcast. We're broadcasting live from Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm here with my co-host. And to my right, I have
Hinton,
Brittany Sherrill,
and to my left, I have
Shatika Gray,
Sarita Smith.
And we are the Women of Indy.
Today's segment is about red flags. Ladies, when dating, you need to really pay attention to red flags and not ignore them.
Sometimes we want to be in a relationship so bad that we tend to overlook things that we shouldn't overlook. And sometimes that can end bad for us. Sometimes somebody dies because they are with someone who's crazy and they didn't see the red flags in the beginning.
Right.
What do you guys think?
Oh, that's 100% true. The father of my children, when we met, everything was going beautifully. He said all the right things. He did all of the right things. It just made me feel really special. And then I remember one time being out and we were driving. I can't remember where we were going. It doesn't matter. But he did that Mike Tyson, Robin Gibbons thing when he had his hand on the back of her neck like that. We're just driving and he's got his hand on the back of my neck like that. And I remember feeling very, very uncomfortable. But I was like, okay, I'm fine, it's okay. But that was my first red flag that this man is dangerous.
But why did you stay with him?
Desperate. I liked the attention at first. Like I said, at first he was just, the man of my dreams. And then I was young too. So I was young, I was naive, I was, just ready to be out there and being an adult. Just being in a relationship and here's this man that's paying attention to me and he makes me feel good. So I was attracted to that. I was in love with the thought of being in love. I wasn't in love with him and I didn't know that until it was too late.
And so many women do that.
Exactly.
And it's like you have to love yourself more.
Exactly.
Because I think a lot of women don't love themselves, and that's why they allow men and other people to treat them a certain way.
Exactly.
If you love yourself, you're not going to stand for that.
You absolutely won't. And ladies, please don't. Any signs that, your spirit will speak to you. You'll get that little tickle in the back of your neck or that pit, that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Pay attention to all of that.
Right,
because
that individual.
Exactly.
For God to show you.
Exactly.
Because He will show you.
He will show you. And then you have to have patience. Who you have right now might not be who the one God has for you.
Exactly.
Pray and ask, Lord, I want the man that you want me to have. Because then you got the right person. As opposed to, oh, okay, well, he's cute. Okay, I can get with you. No, don't do that. Don't be that desperate, babies. Love yourself enough to know that you deserve the very best man that God has for you.
So yeah, I like what you're saying about women or some people being in love with the idea of just being in love. And I think that does have a lot to do with it. Also, sometimes some women are just demonized, and they like the fact of having somebody. And they may look at some of the other characteristics, such as he has a good job, or he has a nice car, or he buys me things. And they want to take those things and try and put them above their own mental health, their own physical security, having food for their kids, all these kinds of things. They're putting it above that because of the way it looks to have, to be on someone's arm. But we have to switch up our priorities and put ourselves, higher than that and know what's most important.
And there's just so many women out there, and especially our young women, those are the ones that we really want to reach. Someone that's going through a situation like that, this is something that they need to watch because, we're here to inspire, educate, motivate, and promote Black women. We love Black women and we want to see our Black women succeed, but we don't want to see them getting hurt or being murdered or anything like that.
And sometimes it's not just our young women. Sometimes, they can be middle-aged, they can be older. They were taught that behavior is acceptable. And so we want to reach people where they are. So sometimes it's not just the younger women. Sometimes you have women that are older that are teaching that.
But what
that
I'm
is
saying,
acceptable.
reaching the younger, because
Yes,
sometimes
you do.
the older, you can't get to them because they're
Yes.
set in their ways. The younger people is the ones that we need to train and raise them up correctly.
Right, and that's true. Well, the only thing I'm saying about that is sometimes we need to also try to reach those that we can.
Right.
Some people, they think that it is acceptable and they can be reached.
But you know, sometimes you have people that get upset when you say something about someone they're dating.
Yes.
They get mad. So when they
Or
start,
married.
and then when they start dating someone else, they don't want to tell you because they don't want you saying anything negative.
Right, because they
And-
keep getting the same type of person.
Yes.
But
So,
And to me, if you keep getting the same results, what's the common denominator? If you're dealing with all these different men and you keep getting the same results, what's the denominator? What's the common denominator? It's you. You need to work on yourself before you try to run and get into another relationship. And that's something that we don't want to do sometimes. Sometimes we don't want to be alone.
Yep,
You
we
know,
don't do
so
that.
we'll take the first
Yes.
thing that come along until we find someone else better. But that better person don't come along because you miss it because you with this idiot here.
That kind
or
of goes
sometimes
into,
today.
yeah, it kind of goes back into, our self-love and
Yes.
building our self-confidence. And I think, it is from with the young girls, especially grabbing them
Right.
as well. And, just having those group of women that you can come to, to help build each other up. And just knowing that we deserve more, we are
Exactly,
beautiful
exactly.
beings. We
Exactly.
deserve so much more.
Exactly. And then that brings up a point too, because before I met that individual before, I had a super high standard. And then I actually let a friend tell me, your standards are too high. That's why you can't get anybody. You need somebody regular. You don't need, you're not gonna find somebody that's, got all A, B, C, and D. You need to accept what's out
But
there.
if God wants you to have that person, He will bring it to you.
And I
Don't let
agree with
someone
you.
tell you.
I agree with you, and that's a huge regret that I have. Now, having been through that relationship, that's something that I know now that I needed to go through because it built me into the woman that I am today.
Exactly.
Now, please don't misconstrue that as, okay, well, I have to bump my head and hurt myself and go through these hardships. You don't have to do that. That's just
Right.
the way that, how the hand that I got dealt, well, the hand that I dealt for myself.
Right.
Because I know that that's not the road that the Lord would have wanted me to go through. But had I had the patience, which is another thing I have to work on, I've never been a patient person. So I'm just getting out there and getting desperate and I'm like, oh, where's my man? I'm tired of being lonely. And then you lower your standards, and when you lower your standards, guess what? You're gonna hit the bottom of the gutter.
And just because you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely. You have to learn to enjoy being by yourself.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Because that way, when you meet someone and they bring a lot of baggage and all this crap, you don't back away because you were happy by yourself. Exactly. And people don't tend to pay attention to that.
That's why I started doing things by myself. When people didn't want to go or whatever, if I didn't have someone special, I'll get up and go by myself, and I started being okay with that, and
Right.
I was able to be patient and wait.
Exactly. There's been plenty of times I went to the movies by myself. People were like, "Oh, who did you go with?" And I was like, "Nobody. I went by myself." When you're in the movies, you're quiet. You're sitting there.
Right.
And when I left, I'm just like I went by myself. And I, just got happy with being by myself. I'm not saying that you're supposed to just not want other people's company, but sometimes other people are not available. I wasn't just gonna run around with any Tom, Dick, or Harry out
Just to
there
say
just to say that I'm with
yes,
somebody.
yes.
No, I got happy with being with myself and doing things by myself. So if that meant that I went to the movies by myself because my closest friends were in relationships, so be it. I mean, they
You
weren't
did it by
available.
yourself.
Yeah,
Learn
exactly.
to do these things,
I do things by yourself
Yes.
because what I did was I said, God, let me be happy during my wait. If you have a mate out there for me, let me be happy during my wait, with my family, the friends that I have, you know, my friends that are getting married or in relationships. Let me be happy for them. And when we have time to spend time together, we will do those things together. And I just didn't want to feel miserable. So I had hobbies and different things that I was doing, and so that's what I'm saying. You want to be happy in your weight. It doesn't mean that you want to be cold and shut off so when someone comes along. But if you're happy doing things that you enjoy, more than likely you will find someone a lot of times doing the same things that you enjoy. You may or you may not. And what I mean by that is if you're doing missionary work, or if you're a musician, or say you are into arts, or maybe you are a scientist, or whatever it is that you do. If you're happy doing what you're doing, you may meet your mate doing the same thing. Maybe it's a possibility. That's why you see a lot of people that are mates that do the same thing. That's why, because they like the same things. Sometimes opposites attract. So I'm not saying that you and that person is definitely going to meet that way. No one can determine that. But a lot of times, because people share things in common, so that's a possibility of how you can meet that person. But either way, you want to watch out for red flags. One thing that I want to bring up. Go ahead.
Another red flag is when you meet someone and you got this going on, you got that going on, and he gets jealous.
Yes.
That's a red flag.
I had someone get mad because I had to refer to my calendar a lot, because when I first met the person, I wasn't looking, I wasn't on no dating site. I didn't have any clear schedule, anything. So when I met this person, I was like, I gotta check my schedule. So I was like, okay, I have this and this going on. We can, get together at this time. And he literally had an attitude. But, I was like trying to make time in my schedule, for him. But I already had obligations that I had to meet. I wasn't gonna shun people off in projects that I had. But I guess he was used to people just being available. And I wasn't available like that. No, we didn't keep dating.
Good for you.
We didn't keep dating because, I need someone that's going to be understanding, because I'm supposed to be understanding to him because his schedule was busy, but he wasn't understanding when my schedule was busy. He made little nasty comments, things of that nature. So I was like, okay, this is new, and you already talking and making little shaky comments. So I was like, next. So that's a red flag right there.
Ladies, let me ask you a question. So I'm sure we all know, but for the people out there who may not know, what does this mean to you? So let's say you're dating a man and he only wants to come over to your place all the time. You never get to come to his place. You have to call him during certain hours.
He hiding something.
So
Or
right.
man.
So or man, let's be real about that. But it was funny because several years back, my best friend and I were talking to a coworker at work, and so she was like, "Well, yeah, my dude, he's wonderful, and he's this, that, and the next thing, but we always whenever we go out, he always wants to come over to my house. I can't call him after 10 o'clock at night when we're not together." And then, so forth and so on. And so she said, so what do y'all think? And we had said at the same time, oh, so he's married. And so she's like, you think?
He's married, or he lives with a girlfriend.
Or he lives with a woman. I was like, duh, it's obvious. And she had the nerve to be flabbergasted. But
that's another thing that people overlook.
Exactly. That's a red flag.
I just don't understand that.
Well, then again, we're older, we're more mature, and that's why we're here today.
Yes, to help
we
our
have to help
younger
our younger people.
I was
Or
watching-
people who
I was watching a television show recently, and I'm just going to, say the show. I was watching P-Valley, and on there was a young lady, and her husband and her met in high school, and they did a flashback, and I'm thinking that they were trying to show a red flag. They, because to me, I took it as a red flag. So what they showed was she was going through domestic violence with him, and she was trying to leave him. And so they were showing that he had put his hands on her. But they flashed back to one of the first encounters was on the, at school, someone said something out of the way to her, and he just started pounding on him and beating him. And so fast forward, when he gets upset and he's uncomfortable about anything, he puts his hands on her. She thought it was cute, like, oh my gosh, like he beat that guy up, and didn't like made her feel secure or whatever she was feeling.
That's why you have to watch how people treat other people.
Exactly.
If they go off the handle real quick with other people, they're gonna do that to you.
Because he
If
didn't
they
have to do that.
disrespect their mother, if they disrespect their sister, they're gonna disrespect you.
So how do you think he should have handled that if the young man said something inappropriate to the girl in school?
He should have just said, man, I didn't appreciate what you said to her.
Exactly.
Please don't do it again. And walk
And let the-
But
left it on.
he actually fist beat the dude up, and that's what she was getting. So the reason why I said that is because they did a flashback. They're trying to get you to see message, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what she's going through now. It was cute to her then. And a lot of times we overlook those red flags. And that was really unfortunate and sad because she was trying to get away. She really was trying. And so we encourage you to try to have a plan to get away if you are in those type of situations, because she really did try to get away from him.
And know that you can do it.
Yeah.
And let me say this too, ladies, no abuse is okay, whether it's emotional,
Yes.
physical, mental,
Right.
they're talking down to you, disrespecting you, that's not okay.
Or financial.
Or yeah.
And put your foot down early. Don't, let it slide. Okay, he did it that one time, I'm gonna let it slide.
Absolutely.
It was okay, it wasn't that bad. He disrespected me in front of this person.
Oh,
It's
he
okay,
loves
it
me.
wasn't that bad. He
Yeah.
loves me. And then things start to build up and it gets worse and worse. It doesn't get better.
And sometimes it ends with someone dying.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to happen to you.